we're drawn about the south end debris fields. Because it's been a little bit quiet on that front, and I heard people were having conversations with them, and I contacted the state of New Jersey, and basically they sent me some maps, and they basically laid out from Charlie Dusendorf, who says he walked the area, that the hydrology of the river is really not affected during flood times by this debris field, but our substation that they called a sewer pumping station actually diverts more water than the debris field does, and they plan on leaving it there. It's not a sewer pumping station located by Riverdale Road, it's a water well. And so they don't even know what they're talking about when they write this kind of stuff. I'm going to give all the maps to Mr. Gadaletta and the letter, but I seriously believe we have to be diligent on having this debris field removed from that south end of town, because it just doesn't belong in that type of area. It's supposed to be a flood storage area, and it's doing exactly the opposite. They said that their maps, and ironically, their maps were drawn in the early 70s and 80s, and guess who drew the maps? Who seems to have a very cozy relationship with the DEP, O'Brien and Gear.
You're kidding.
So there's 3 maps in here, and a letter from Charlie Dusendorf. Says I walked the site. And it's delineation of the floodplain, O'Brien and Gear, 1984. 12/18/1984, O'Brien and Gear. And then they lay out the debris fields, same drawer, same engineering company, O'Brien and Gear. Just seems funny that they're working awful close with DuPont, and now that they've been involved with the DEP for a long time. Just seems a little strange to me. But I hope that we might be able to do some kind of response to them, because I believe it was the entire mayor and council's hope that they would remove it, not only because of the hazardous materials that are there, but if a child's hiking through that area, the banded wire and everything else that's in that development, and the sinkholes, just pose a horrible hazard. Otherwise, we might as well put a fence around the area. I mean, because it's an unsafe place to walk. I mean, some of us have walked that area, and we know what's out there, and it's not a good thing. Secondly, tonight with my report, I want to play catch-up with a few things. At the June 24th meeting, although it's not in the minutes, I watched the tape over, I stated that the DPW was concerned about the overhanging branches in the south end of town. And I asked at that time that we direct our arborist to drive through the south end and identify any problems. And then 2 weeks later, a fire truck hits a branch and takes it off because we took no action. We have to be proactive up here. When I bring it up, and when news people bring things up, I hope that they get followed up by the administration, because it has to be done at the time that it's brought up. We can't keep rehashing it over and over. And to me, it was very important. I think I was right on target. And then we had to send our DPW supervisor out on a ladder, to go cut down a branch that's half hanging down after it was struck by a fire truck. And I have a problem with that. And then I went back and I started looking at meeting minutes. In the minutes of May 23rd, 2007, I brought up the fact that the catch basins in this town were in horrible condition. Okay? 2 weeks ago, last meeting, we got a letter of at least 25 that are in deplorable condition, ready for collapse, and I'm hearing we have no money. In that same meeting, I stated that we need to send some of our DPW guys to the state of New Jersey and get them trained in building catch basins, because it cost us a quarter of the price. And now it's almost a year and a half later. We never sent anybody for training to build a catch basin. Everybody's telling us we don't have the money. Well, you know what? There's a 2-foot gaping hole at this catch basin where we put cones on Howard Street and DuPont Place, and that needs to be fixed immediately. I can't talk about stuff on the record and be sincere about it and then have it never done. And Mr. Gadaletta, no disrespect to you, you were not here. Mr. Pollux was the acting administrator at that time, or the administrative aide.
Well, I'll respond to your comments at my report.
All right. And secondly, as far as it goes, just with Clairview Lane, I'm a little concerned about going in there and putting millings in there, and this is my reason why. I drove that 3 times in the last week, okay? And in order to do that properly, with millings or without millings, that road needs to be graded properly and engineered properly, because you're going to create drainage problems because of the conditions that that roadway's in. And the potholes that are in that roadway could be no more than 10 tons of QP, which is maybe $25 a ton, and I'm sure the borough gets it for a little bit less, on a state contract. We could send a crew of guys in here to fill the potholes with QP without changing any grades and not getting us into any liability about pushing water on this one's property and pushing water on somebody else's property until we can do proper engineering. I would never put millings down there, because that's going to almost become impervious. And it's going to actually have the water run off of it instead of draining into it. And it's going to end up on certain people's homes, because there's a high crown in some areas, there's 2-foot potholes, just to be safely navigated, that road needs to have QP in it immediately and rolled. Never mind putting millings in it. I think if you had an engineer look at it, he would say the same thing. I used to own my own paving company, and I'm telling you right now, that's a bad move unless you have engineering done. And you know what? That's another cost. The people came here just to ask for some help so they could navigate their roadway. I think that needs to be addressed immediately, because my car bottomed out 3 times going through there, at least 3 times that I went there. And I think that it needs to be done right away.
Well,